אני לא ציוני, אני יהודי. לא ציון. יהוד. אני יהוד, לא ציון. אני רוצה להיות יהודי כמו פעם, כמו לפני 150 שנה, שחיו פה בשלום בשמחה. שכל הפלסטינים יחזרו לפה.
We want the Palestinians to gain back their lands because we are not thieves. We don't want anything to take out from them. We want them to live peacefully and with freedom, with complete freedom. No apartheid, no apartheid state. We don't want it.
Judaism is different from Zionism. Judaism is a set of religious and cultural beliefs and practices that define the Jewish people. Zionism is the belief that the state of Israel is a theological necessity. So that means that not all Jews are Zionists, and not all Zionists are Jews. So there are a number of Jews who are not Zionists, for instance, and there are a number of Christians in particular who are Zionists.
The Christians who were Zionists started their movement before the Jews got on board for the Zionist movement. Everybody saw they could, and the first movement for Zionism came from Christians in Europe. Zionism is not fused with Judaism. The bulk of the Zionists were secular Jews, which means they're atheists.
Zionism was created by mostly non-religious Jews. It was a nationalist movement of people who estranged themselves from God, from the Torah.
For the first, I would say, for half of the history of Zionism, you were dramatically more likely to be a Zionist if you hated Jews.
Yeah.
The founder of anti-Semitism in Europe, Wilhelm Marr, he was a raging Zionist. Why?
Yeah.
Because he wanted to rid Germany of the Jews.
Yeah.
Istotski, the Hungarian politician, in 1878 gave a speech in front of the Hungarian parliament where he said, we need to establish a Jewish state in Palestine to rid Hungary of those filthy Jews. Nordau, right? Max Nordau, who, by the way, in the 1880s, publishes many works. He's kind of the number two to Theodor Herzl. And he helped organize the first Zionist Congress in Basel in 1897. He was a popular writer in the 1880s. In Austria, I believe he's Austrian, and he's publishing all these works replete of anti-Semitic stereotypes of the Jews. Yeah. And the same was true of Arthur Balfour, who in 1905, when he was prime minister, when he was the British prime minister, this is 12 years before he authored the Balfour Declaration, when he was prime minister of Britain in 1905, he sponsored legislation to keep Jews out of Britain at a time when they were being slaughtered in the thousands in Eastern Europe in pogroms. Again, because he didn't want Jews in Britain, because he was an anti-Semite. 12 years later, he authored the Balfour Declaration, thus rendering him the most famous anti-Semitic Zionist in all of human history. Many of the founding members of the Nazi Party in Germany were also raging Zionists. Alfred Rosenberg, who inspired Hitler himself, was a raging Zionist. The Nazi movement itself signed a partnership, Zionist movement, in the Havara Agreement.
Out revealing secret negotiation between the Nazis and the Zionists in 1933.
In the Berlin paper Der Angriff, the publisher, Hitler's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels. A Nazi Visits Palestine was the title of the multi-part series. A medal was struck by Goebbels in commemoration. On one side, the swastika. On the other, the Star of David. But a group of Zionists at the same time was quietly negotiating an agreement with the Nazis to allow the immigration of German Jews and the transfer of their assets to Palestine. That deal, reported in August 1933, was the transfer agreement,
which allowed German Jews and their assets to go to Palestine.
I lived in Palestine from 1933 to 1936, and we saw every week transports of German Jews coming to settle in Palestine.
Partnered with the Nazis.
Exactly.
They were allies. Zionists were allied with the Nazis.
Yeah. Even Herzl, right? Even Herzl in his book, I think he's depicting a very anti-traditional Jewish type of mentality. Right? That would also fall under anti-Semitic in the sense of disliking Orthodox Jews in that sense.
It's a very direct line, and it's at the core of the Zionist enterprise. They embraced the anti-Semitism, which is what led them to Zionism. And so in their embrace of anti-Semitism, they arrived at Zionism.
Yeah.
Zionists looked at the Jews as ugly. Jabotinsky, one of the early Zionists, who Benjamin Netanyahu considers his mentor, quote, "I have no doubt that I am a Zionist because the Jewish people is a very nasty people and their neighbors hate it, and they are right. Its end will be a Bartholomew night." Yosef Chaim Brenner, one of the big Zionist intellectuals, said, quote, "If the tables were turned and others were like the Jews, wouldn't we have good cause to hate them as well?" Uri Tzvi Greenberg as to why religious Polish Jews were persecuted, quote, "Those loathsome Jews are vomited out by any healthy collective and state, not because they are Jews, but because of their Jewish repulsiveness." Ben-Gurion referred to Jews as parasites. Some statements by Adolf Hitler calling Jews parasites, and Ben-Gurion, it's hard to know who said which. Zionism is an ideology. It's incompatible with Judaism, and not only incompatible, it's really designed as a poison for Judaism.
Jews who are true to the Torah around the world have always been opposed to Zionism, also goes against the very basics of Jewish belief.
Jews are not Zionists because the Zionist ideology is not Jewish. The Zionist ideology is against the Jewish beliefs. Zionists are not Jews anymore. Even if they were born as Jews, they are not Jews anymore. He stole the Jewish nation's name, Israel, and we are ashamed. We are very ashamed that they do it in our name.
Zionism thrives off of anti-Semitism. Zionist organizations rely on anti-Semitism to pay their bills. Look at the Anti-Defamation League. Without anti-Semitism, which they constantly inflate to the point where over 50% of their documented anti-Semitic incidents since October 7th are simply pro-Palestine rallies, peace rallies, it's pretty obvious that they need anti-Semitism to exist. And so Israel is actually an engine of anti-Semitism.
It's like the third temple being built. Why would I want to be part of that as a Christian? Why would I want to help construct where the Antichrist is going to have take over, basically? Why would I want to construct that?
And this, 2 Thessalonians 2. And the Antichrist will sit in the temple of God, and he will declare to the whole world that he is God.
The temple of God. You're talking about Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, aren't you?
That's right.
Whoever this Antichrist guy is, he's going to have one big war in his hands if he tries to rebuild this temple anytime soon.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. Make no mistake about it. It's written in the scriptures. He will rebuild the temple.
But the Arabs are not going to just sit by and watch them build this thing.
They'll make peace with Israel.
Peace. In the Middle East.
Daniel 9, chapter 27. And he will confirm a covenant with the many for 7 years.
Building of the third temple in Jerusalem.
The table of showbread is ready. The menorah is ready. All of the golden pieces are ready. The third temple is ready.
Our job to bring and to build the third temple.
They're also planning to slaughter 5 red cows. That paves the way for the building of the third temple, replacing the Dome of the Rock.
The Zionist Jews have announced many times that they would build the third temple on the Temple Mount. The leak information from the Temple Institute officials. The Red Heifer ceremony will take place in the Passover holiday 2025. The construction of Third Temple had actually begun months ago in secret. A group of religious Israelis have recently been pictured practicing the ritual of the Red Heifer in front of Al-Aqsa Mosque.
I don't need to support a Jewish ethno-state either, Ridvan, that has prophecies for Antichrist it's trying to fulfill. I asked Ridvan point blank, do you think that we should support the nation of Israel even knowing that 30% of the population there and growing wants Antichrist? And his answer was yes. Well, I have a different point of view. No, I'm not going to support Antichrist.
And there aren't enough dollars at AIPAC to ever get me to side with the devil. And I truly do believe that what we are watching right now is the synagogue of Satan, led by Bibi Netanyahu, which is attempting to use Judaism and pretending that they are being attacked because they're Jewish and not because they are executing something horrific.
Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Watch out! Judgment is coming. There's a point beyond which the patience of God will not go.
We are here today to proclaim, 1, Judaism is not Zionism. Judaism is a holy religion. Zionism is a heretical, political, nationalist movement.